I kind of walked out of that. I somehow won that first round, and I walked out of it just thinking, do I actually know anything, or have I just got incredibly lucky there?
Welcome to All Things Quiz and the second of our previews of the Brain of Online Quiz League, which is coming up this weekend. In this preview, we've got people from a number of different tiers. And so without further ado, let's meet the competitors who will be hoping to lift one of the trophies this weekend. So, Emma, for those who don't know anything about you, could you please introduce yourself and just a little bit of background of your quizzing experience?
So, hi everyone, I'm Emma Laslett. My quizzing experience, I'd say I do a fair bit. I'm a fixture of the Quiz Bowl scene, run my own tournaments in that, and since lockdown I have been doing every online league you can get your hands on, and a long-time player in Milton Keynes Quiz League as well.
Excellent, thank you, Emma. Peter, how about you?
Yeah, Peter Friel. I'm in Division 6. My quiz experience is virtually zero. I entered my first online quiz in March or April this year, and that's it. So I've kind of come into the online Quiz League of London as well during lockdown in 2021, and just somehow managed to stumble my way into this area. I have in the past, in personal life, organised the odd quiz night in sports clubs and the likes, and the odd restaurant here or there. But my experience is literally somebody who screams at the telly whilst watching Only Connect or The Chase or something like that, and I have no experience at all of online quizzing.
Tremendous. Well, good to have you, Jhun.
Actually, I'm from Philippines, and actually I just joined the OQL just recently this year, and I think my experience as a quizzer is it's been very long time. That was just still when I was still in college, and maybe because of this pandemic, then there's OQL, then there's some Zoom. So I think it's quite a good thing, because it's first time that I found this site in OQL, and I'm just happy to be here and joining some great quizzers from other countries also in UK, US. It's an honor to be just part of this.
Well, it's very good to have you with us. And Davet, finally.
I'm Davet. Online Quiz League, basically just since the pandemic began. I was with the Calderdale Quiz League for about a year before that, and then just got an email one night about a year ago saying, do you want to join a team with some other Calderdale people? And then from there, just got involved in the Booql last year and in the other Mimirs I've gone on, and brought me to here.
So Booql is played in the Mimir format, and if people don't know what that is, we've got a video about that. I'll put a link up there somewhere. Davet, you've played Mimir before. Emma, you must have played loads of Mimir as well, and all sorts of other things. Peter and Jhun, had you played Mimir before?
No, I hadn't, and I have to be honest, I didn't understand the rules of it until the second round of this Brain of Online Quiz League. I didn't understand how if you answered a question that you were trying to pick up and got it wrong, it pushed you to the back of the queue, things like that. I had no idea about. So no, I hadn't played it until round one in this.
And Jhun, it was a new experience for you as well.
Actually, I played on the highbrow.
Okay.
Then that's the time I got familiarized with it, and then I just tried to join here in BOQL also.
Excellent. Whereas Emma and Davet, you've played Booql before and other formats. How do you find Booql compared to other Mimir competitions?
I quite like how diverse it is in terms of subject matter. You can semi-prep, I think, for the highbrow and the lowbrow. Opera is going to come up or whatever in the highbrow. With this, you don't have a clue what's going to come up. And so you don't kind of have to worry about looking at other things to try and prep in any way. You just show up, enjoy the note, or you don't, and you kind of get on with it.
Much the same for you, Emma?
Yeah, pretty much the same. I mean, the kind of variety of subject matter, because I play a meme as well. So that's got a similar kind of vibe. But I don't know. There's definitely it feels like there are some quads you get in here that you'd never get anywhere else.
Yeah.
There's always a vibe to whatever league you're playing.
Indeed. Well, you've all made it to the final. You've all fought off competition on your way there, and there's a lot of us looking on jealously that we've got nothing to play for this weekend. So congratulations to all of you. Peter, I wonder, were there any moments, apart from the point at which you understood the rules, were there any moments on the way to the final where you thought that was a particularly tough match, or there was a key turning point for you?
There have genuinely been a couple of very, very memorable points. Again, in round one, there was a quad. This is all absolutely true, by the way. In round one, there was a quad about Chelsea managers. I had a Chelsea season ticket for donkey's years, didn't miss a home game for 20 years. So that kind of fell into my lap. I also, despite my accent, hail from Ireland, and there was a quad there about Irish counties. Couldn't have fallen into my lap more. And I worked for a company called Hermes for donkey's years as well, who, although we were not the bag manufacturer, we were often phoned, can you put us on the waiting list for a Birkin? And that all came up in the first round. And I kind of walked out of that, I somehow won that first round, and I walked out of it just thinking, do I actually know anything, or have I just got incredibly lucky there? So that, it was very, very memorable, no doubt about that. And in the semi-final that we had was actually, it was an excellent competition that genuinely came down to the last two questions with myself, Jhun, and another gentleman called Eric. And Eric had led the whole way from round one till the very last two questions. And in the end of it, I picked up one of the last two. Jhun got the last one, and that just pushed us 1 point ahead of him. And his knowledge was absolutely exceptional, and certainly of a higher brow than mine. And I think the greatest example of that was the quad on operas. Everyone got asked, these modern operas that I knew nothing about. And when it came to my question, literally tagged on to the end of the opera part was, who was the Playboy Playmate of the Year in 1993? And if you're a gentleman of my age, you're always going to remember Anna Nicole Smith. And that just kind of fell completely into my lap. And, as I say, I felt a little bit fraudulent getting past Eric on that one. But, that's the way it goes. Maybe it'll go completely against me on Sunday.
Well, we all dream of that Slumdog Millionaire kind of situation where it just all falls in your lap. Jhun, how about you? You're not only playing a competition against stiff opposition, but you're playing something that is probably quite Anglo-centric compared to what you're used to. So, what were the key moments in you getting through to your final?
In the first round, I think I didn't get all those questions about TV series, but I'm not very fan of of those things because my strong points, I think, is more on arts and culture, something like that. Then I'm also not a very fan of sports, but then I was very happy when we in our semifinals together with Peter because at the time actually Eric should be the one winning. Then I'm the one to be the last to be given the three questions, and the first question I was able to get it. Then the second question was Peter was able to steal it, so he got ahead of us. And that time Eric was 13 and me was also 13. And then the last question was a sports question, but funny thing is that it's I think I'm familiar with it. It's funny Blankers Kowe. So yeah, so I'm just happy to get it and able to come here in the finals.
So Peter and Jhun, you're one half of the Tier 6 final.
Yeah.
Moving up a notch, we've got Davet, you're in the Tier 5 final. What were the key moments for you getting to that final?
We seem to develop some sort of strange rivalry with Ian Grieve, in that we in our first round we tied for first, which was all right. So it was a pressure off tiebreaker, but we had to be separated, and it took us. We both blanked the first tiebreak, and then I think he beat me 2-1 the second one, so he won that, and then we met again in the semi-finals, And the only thing that separated us in the semi-finals is, unfortunately for Ian, I probably shouldn't say this when it's going on YouTube, but he completely blanked on who killed JFK. Right. And I just happened to be there in Q1, and just sitting there watching him torture himself, unfortunately, for 30 seconds, and then just got to pick up Lee Harvey Oswald. And I beat him by 2. If he'd gotten that, we would have had another tiebreak. So I ended up with a bit of a ding-dong with him. And Anna Nicole Smith saved me towards the end of that as well. I managed to pick up 2 of the modern operas, that and Coraline. And the semi-finals, a bit like what Peter said earlier, really fell in certain things that I really love, mainly the West Wing. The fact that there was a full quad on West Wing kind of guest stars, giving enough information that I could get them either way. So I picked up 2, passed, and then remembered Offerman straight away afterwards. And then I think someone else got Huffman. And also managing to pick up someone saying, hitting the post in the last round with saying Hotel Budapest instead of Grand Budapest Hotel, and again being first in the queue to get that. So they're probably the most important moments for me.
Well, you have to feel for Ian, because I think we've all been in that position where you can't bring that answer, to mind, and that 30 seconds goes really quickly when you're agonizing over something and trying to bring it to mind. Whereas when you're waiting for somebody to pass the question to you, that 30 seconds drags on and on and on. So it's a very bizarre situation. Commiserations to Ian there.
Absolutely.
So that's tier 5. Tier 2, Emma, that's going to be a fierce competition, and it will have been fierce all the way. Some really quality players throughout tier 2. So, what were the key moments for you?
I mean, the one that really kind of comes to mind is because honestly, I think I got lucky with the draw for a lot of the tournament so far. The first couple of rounds, I feel like I just happened on, like you were saying, Peter, just happened on seats that had more things I just happened to know, and I think like the results from that look better for me than maybe they should. But then in the semis, it kind of felt like it was going to go the same way. When going into the last round, I was on 13, everybody else was on 10, and I managed to maintain a lead for like 3 rounds at that point, and I was feeling pretty good about it. And then proceed to drop all of my own questions in that round, and just ended up going through by 1 point, and just sat there agonizing because I was like, Charlotte Tilbury, what's her name? I know what she looks like. I was watching the last season of Glow Up. She was on that. It
is incredibly frustrating when you can't get there. I remember in Lowbrow Mimir, it was the photo of the Oscars, and I think the answer was Bradley Cooper. And I got as far as Dominic Cooper and thinking, no, that's not right, that's somebody else, and went Dominic West. I completely backed away from it, and it was just that sort of pressure of time and everything. It can really, really get to you. Do any of you have any particular tactics when approaching a Mimir game in terms of keeping your powder dry in terms of bonuses, or do you go aggressive against the opposition and guess and back yourself?
I think now I understand the rules, I've become a lot more passive. I was very gung-ho in round 1. Which is, tactically to me is the wrong thing to do. Others may play that way, and perhaps my knowledge isn't as high as those in Division 1 or Division 2. But yeah, I'd certainly a lot more passive now, which it does sometimes cost you. There was 2 questions in the last round that I passed on, which I was going to guess, and I would have got them both right. Ubisoft was one, but I can't remember what the other one was now. So it can work both ways, but I'm certainly a lot more passive now than I was in the first round.
That's definitely a thing. I think one thing, it's kind of situation dependent. Mine is basically, if I build up a lead early, then my kind of threshold for going for stuff goes, I suppose, up. And I won't go for things that are 50-50 because it's up to them to make it up and not the other way around. And it's good to be there in Q1 for if someone goes wrong. And then, but of course, the reverse of that is that you can end up chasing your own tail as well if you fall behind early and you start going for things and you fall further behind.
Yeah, Emma, you've got a lot of experience in Mimir. Do you always play it the same way, or is it?
Oh no. I find kind of my strategy going in is fairly dependent on both who I'm playing, because obviously if I'm playing kind of stronger opposition, you want to be a little bit more conservative, because once you're against strong players, as soon as you make one or two mistakes, pushes you down the queue and you're never going to make that back. But also which seat I'm in affects it a lot. A lot of the time, if I'm in seat 4, I will just go for everything, because you'll be at the back of the queue most of the time, so why the hell not?
Looking forward to the final. I won't ask you to kind of predict where you might end up, because these things are very difficult to predict, and who wants to be a hostage to fortune. But I will ask you, if there was one quad that you could have, which would be right up your street, that you think would give you a chance of a musketeer against the opposition, what would that quad be? Jhun, what would you like to have? I mean, other than perhaps, history of the Philippines or something, but...
Well, I'm not so good in history of the Philippines. But I think it should be nice. But I'm also looking for mythology. If it's an ideal for me, I think, if there's a mythology.
Okay, interesting. Emma, how about you?
I would second some niche mythology stuff. That would be great. Or like really obscure level 4 video games quad. Because I know what my life has been spending.
And there's been a lot more of that sort of stuff during lockdown. It's really diversified. And for anybody watching who doesn't know, Emma does live Twitch streams of gaming. So Emma, little chance for an advert. What's your Twitch handle?
So I'm at twitch.tv/Serasent. That's SERASENT, streaming every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 2 p.m. British time. And just playing through whatever game I happen to be working on and talking a lot of nonsense usually.
Excellent. I have watched at least one of those streams, and not knowing what to expect, it's actually quite entertaining watching somebody go through the agonies of playing a game and not quite working out. Anyway, we kind of digress, but it does kind of explain why you would love a tough video game quad. Davet, how about you?
Weirdly, unlike Peter, I don't want anything Irish to come up, because there's 3 Irish people in my final, and so it'll be a complete bloodbath if anything does, especially for you and doesn't know it. Rugby union and Eurovision.
Okay.
If there's tough stuff on that, then I think I'll do quite well.
Okay, cool. And Peter, finally with you.
Yeah, I kind of think my ideal quad came out in round 1 with former Chelsea managers. I genuinely couldn't have asked for anything nicer than that for me. But if anything else came out along those lines, again, showing my sort of age here, probably Glastonbury Festival 1990 to 95, that sort of thing. As I went to them all and kind of it's in there. Failing that, some sort of indie alternative music from that point of view, that time period rather. So I'm looking up at sort of books in front of me on the likes of the Beastie Boys and Tom Waits and the Pogues. Anything along those sorts of lines would be quite pleasant. Okay,
well, all that really is left to me is to wish you all the very best of luck. I hope your dream quads come up. But really, all that any quizzer can wish is that you do yourself justice when it comes to the competition, that you get the questions right that you should get right, and you don't make any very, very silly mistakes. So I wish all of that to all of you. Very best of luck, and I look forward to seeing how your finals play out. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, and good luck all.
Thanks.
Good luck.
Cool.